right, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends and agents, I am so glad so many of y'all came to this. And because I know what's going down is really confusing. And many of y'all know this. I used to be a teacher. I do kind of have a knack for breaking things down, making them very easy to understand. However, I need to very, very, very bluntly say I am not a lawyer. Okay. I have no legal training. I will say I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. And I will also say I have called the Texas Realtors Law Hotline. I've spoken to them quite a bit. I've spoken to SABOR, MLS people quite a bit, trying to make sure I fully, truly understand this. And I know if you are here, you are probably extremely confused about what is going on. So, guys, there's a lot of information. I'm gonna keep this under an hour. I'm going to keep this right at an hour as best I can. I'm going to leave room for some questions. If I tell you I don't know, it's not because I don't love you. It's just because I don't know. And I may have to look it up. I've got my handy dandy notebook here for those of y'all that remember Blue's Clues, and we're going to write down our clues as we go through this. So if you have a question, guys, please do not hesitate. I'm pretty well known to say that there is such a thing as stupid questions. They usually start with the words "what if," but in this scenario right here, please ask away. I promise I will not be upset about any questions y'all ask, but please be patient with me, guys. It's new to all of us. This is a very, very random thing that went down. So again, this is not legal advice, guys. This is my understanding of what we're going to be doing going forward. If you have questions filling out this stuff, let's talk. We've all got to talk about this. So what happened? What happened and why are we making all these changes? Very simply put, every single realtor in the United States got sued. Alicia,
there's so much.
there we go, mute her. Guys, every single realtor in the United States basically got sued. Okay. They sued everybody. And they sued us basically calling it antitrust. I'm not going to get into all the legalities, but they were suggesting that the fact that we knew about commissions ahead of time was causing us to steer our clients to certain houses for our own financial gain versus what was best for our client. Somehow, and as you all know, that is a huge, huge, huge issue with the code of ethics. It's a huge issue with a lot of things that we practice and do here at White Line. I'm not suggesting anybody out there did that, but somehow they got this lawsuit through. They ended up suing for 400. They ended up suing for, I don't even remember, it was a bunch. They ended up settling for $418 million. That $418 million will be paid over 4 years, basically to the lawyers. So the lawyers all got paid and everybody's got more paperwork. So congratulations, lawyers. Glad you had some fun with that. So let's figure out what that means. Basically, the big change that is coming up, I'm sure you've gotten 600 emails from SABOR or whatever MLS you were in. I'm going to be talking strictly about SABOR. However, after talking to TAR, I have found out that a lot of this is going to be the same all the way over. So everything I'm going to show you today is SABOR because that's where I pretty much live and work the majority of my days. And I know that's where the majority of white light agents are. This should be the same no matter what MLS you're a participant of because it's a general understanding of what went down. Okay. So with that being said, they accused realtors of making decisions based on how much we were getting paid. That's basically what happened. So they took away the ability for us to advertise what we're getting paid. You understand, everybody here understands how the real estate deals have traditionally gone. As the listing agent, you go in there, you negotiate with your client, and you say, typically, not all the time, I'll charge you 6%, right? We keep 3%. We paid the other realtor 3%, and we put in the MLS listing 3% for selling this house, right? And that was a legally binding advertisement. If we put it in the MLS, then we had to abide by that, and we could be sued, right? That was a legally binding advertisement. Now we can't do that anymore. We cannot advertise in the MLS commissions anymore. Okay. We cannot advertise commissions anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to me very carefully. You cannot put it in the agent's remarks. That's a complete violation. You cannot put it in the public remarks. That is a complete violation. You cannot add a separate document in the associated docs that has the commission on it. You cannot do that. Those are all forbidden. Okay. You cannot publicly state in the MLS anywhere how much commission you are willing to pay. That's the big change. So how do we get around it? What did NAR do? Well, I'll show you all in a little bit, but there's actually 19 forms that have been redrafted and promulgated because of this change. 19, guys. I don't have time to go over 19 forms. I will go over 19 forms with you. It's really not too different. Everything that's changed isn't too bad, but we got to talk about it. Where to begin? First things first, get compliant. Okay. First things first. Does anybody remember when this rule comes into effect? Anybody?
On the 17th?
On the 17th.
August
Gotcha.
17th.
First form, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to fill out is this form right here, the Amendment to Representation Agreement. This needs to be done for every single listing that you currently have. Okay? I'm going to go over this form in more detail later, but I need you to write this down. Write it down. The form Amendment to Representation Agreement needs to be completed by everyone on every listing you have. I don't care if you started the listing on January 1st of 2018 and you've had it on the market for 7 years. I don't care. Every listing that we have needs to have this. This is form TXR 2701. Now, guys, when you look at this form, I don't really need to, there's nothing to fill out. It says on or about this date that we went into an agreement effective starting on this date. Real quick, the difference between those two, they signed the agreement on August 1st, but I didn't list the house till August 15th. That's when it became effective, right? Or whatever it might be. So those are the first two things. And then it says client means the seller or landlord is the following property. Write down the address and have everybody sign it. It's not a hard form to fill out. But what this does is it makes you compliant with, it takes your old listing and makes it compliant with the August 17th mandates. Okay. So everybody, is there any question what I mean when I say every single person and every single listing needs to have this form filled out and put back into jointly? Anybody? Questions on this? Because this is a big deal, guys.
No.
I don't have questions. I'm driving. Colin, is there any way that you can put put that in the comments on maybe Facebook or something? I'm sorry.
No, you gotta pay attention to these
Hold the
meetings.
wheel
You gotta
with.
tile. No, just kidding. Yes, guys, don't worry. Hey, and by the way, y'all know I'm not usually a big spammer, but I'm about to spam y'all with all of these changes. Okay, please read. Please read. I don't spam. This is important. If I send you an email, I'll keep it brief. Read the email. So yes, Melissa, you're going to get that. I'll definitely get that over. So that's the first thing that's got to happen, guys. We've got to backdate all of our listings up to current. Okay? It's an easy form. It'll take you 2 seconds. There's nothing weird about it. Just send it off. Now,
what about the listings that we had previously and they're advertising about the commission? They're going to be take off that, or we need to do it?
no, it's going to be removed.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to change anything in the MLS. You have to get them to sign that document.
Okay.
And the MLS is going to wipe it anyways.
Okay.
Okay. So we can't advertise commissions anymore. And I love what Sabor did. I don't know if every MLS is doing this. You need to contact your local MLS if you're on somebody else. But what Sabor has done is they have said, we're removing commissions. What they are saying is we can add in the seller's contributions to closing, the closing cost contribution. You know what I'm talking about there? Paragraph, whatever it is of the 1 to 4 down towards the bottom. We have, so we're going to be able to say, hey, would you be willing to pay concessions to the other realtor? Right? And so then, well, you're actually not paying concessions to the other realtor. You're going to be paying concessions to the client buying the house. The client buying the house now has to pay their realtor. Is everybody tracking with me on that one? So that is one way we can now do this. So that's probably how I'm going to handle the vast majority of this. Okay. I'm going to say, hey, look, back in the day, we charged 6% to sell your house. There was a big lawsuit that went down saying that the way that we had done it for 100 years was now illegal. Okay. So now we have to change it. So instead of me charging you 6%, I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm going to charge you 3%, and we're going to give another 3% in concessions. Okay. That's going to be the big change on that one. When you do that, there is another form. Yay, forms. I love forms. Okay. This form is form TXR 1412. And this is the seller's authorization to disclose and advertise certain information. So I am asking them, can I please tell the entire world that you're willing to pay 3% in seller's closing costs, right? That's what this form does. If you choose to split it up like that, that's one way we can get around this stupid hurdle, okay? Now, that's kind of a tricky situation, guys, because as you know, closing costs can go up and it can go down. There will be in the MLS now, starting the 17th, when you click through, instead of saying how much commission are you willing to give, they will say, is the seller willing to pay closing costs? You will say yes or no. Okay. If you say yes, it will ask you how much or what percentage. Okay. It's stupid, isn't it? It's like, oh, here goes $418 million for us to change the form on the computer. Thank you.
So,
okay.
Say that worry.
So just real quick then. So is the seller willing to pay seller concessions? You put yes, 3%, right?
That's my understanding.
But how do they know
MLS.
It's not towards closing and not for the realtor? Because my other question was, okay, let's say specifically we figured that part out. It's paid at closing, so it goes to the broker and then to us?
No. Okay. It's going to go, technically, it's going to go to the client. Okay. Technically, because if you read that paragraph about seller's concessions, it says the seller will proceed this much money towards closing costs for this, right? That's what that section said. I can't remember what section it is right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's what it reads. So all you're doing is saying, hey, we've got, sorry, I just got a weird text message. We've got to advertise this in there. Now, just because you advertise it, you're just saying my seller is willing to pay 3% in seller's concessions. Okay. It doesn't mean you are stuck paying 3% in seller's concessions, right? Because sometimes our buyers need help.
Yes.
So maybe it's 3% plus $2,500, whatever the hell it is, right? That you're not limited to that. You are just advertising you will pay that. Okay. So that's one way around, guys. So if you choose to say, hey, look, as a listing agent, we're going to do this in the concessions. That's one way to do it. If you do that, you need this form. We're going to talk more about this. Don't worry, I'm going to send you a little handy dandy email. Okay. The other way to do that, excuse me. Oh, by the way, guys, the other new forms. So we're talking about listings right now. There is a new listing agreement. Okay. There's a new listing agreement. Don't use the old one. It needs to be updated. And I'll show you all how to find that before we go today. Okay. There's actually, sorry guys, I got papers everywhere right now. So there's actually 4 different agreements. I've got the residential listing and property management agreement has changed. Nobody should be doing property management. Residential real estate listing agreement for the right to lease. So if I'm doing a lease, if I'm leasing out a property for somebody, it's in there. Okay, that's a new form. That's you know this form. It's the 9-page form. It's just a listing agreement. Okay, but it has changed. Make sure you have the updated one. Farm and ranch has changed, and the exclusive right to sell for residential real estate has changed. Okay, go look at this one, the residential, because that's the vast majority of what we do, guys, and read through it. If you look, you'll see immediately on this. Oh God, I got this stupid background on. You'll see immediately on. Come on, quit it. you'll see immediately on this second page, there's these big boxes that you've never seen before. That's the change. Okay. I'm going to go through it in more detail later. It's really simple. It's a listing agreement. If you read it, I promise you'll understand it. But just understand, if you don't see that big box on page 2, you've got the wrong one.
Okay.
Everybody understand that one? Everybody tracking? And I'll,
Yes.
again, when I get to the end. Okay. So now the other way that we can advertise commissions. So let's say our seller goes, I'd rather do it the old way. I'll pay you 6%. You figure it out. Okay. That is still completely legal. We just can't advertise that in the MLS. So what I have been told by the Texas Association of Realtors Legal Hotline is you can use old school marketing. You can put a bandit sign in the front yard that says 3% commission.
Ooh.
Okay. The other thing that you can do, which this one's going to be tricky, and I'm going to need everybody to let me see it to make sure you understand me.
A picture can be in the MLS?
No, no pictures.
Okay.
There's
No.
nothing can be in the MLS. You can't put a picture of that sign in the MLS. Nothing can go in the MLS, folks. Good try. I appreciate your creativity, right? Have you seen all the memes where
you
they
can
like
make it by
mow?
mistake.
You ever seen them where they mow like 3% in the grass and take the picture? They're like, it's funny. Don't do it. Okay. So now we can advertise it with posters, build whatever we got to do, right? Which that's, to me, is kind of a pain in the butt, because I don't want to have to go out there and put signs up, pull signs out, and make sure, I personally, maybe you do. I don't know. It's up to you. Don't care, but you can. The second thing you can do is you can advertise it on your personal website. Okay. But you can only advertise your property's commissions. Okay. So if you have an IDX website, you can put in the agent remarks, to learn more about our property, visit this link. But, and this is a big but, okay? But when they click that link, it cannot immediately take them to the commission. You cannot say, learn more about this property, and you just have a web page that says 3% big as shit. You can't do that. Okay. So every time somebody clicks that link, it just pops up, says 3%. You cannot do that. You cannot have it linked to a property page that says 3%. Here's the rub. It has to go to a page, and then it has to go to one more page before you can put the commission on it. There has to be a separation of one page. What does that mean? Hey, to learn more about this property, please come to my website link. Click. Here's Colin's available properties. Click 3%. You can do that, but it cannot be a direct click into the percentage. Tracking? Does that make sense?
So,
And that's only
I'm sorry. Go
sorry,
ahead.
that's only for the MLS, not for yard signs, or like if I have a QR code on my yard sign. That it's just for the MLS. If it's in the MLS and you have a website, that only applies to that, correct? Because
I believe so.
If we're able to put bandit signs, then why can't we have a website that goes directly to it? You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Property. But
Well,
that's what you're saying, right?
The other thing you can say is, so that when we do it like this, where you tell the seller, hey, I want 6%, I will pay them. I'll pay the other realtor for you, so we don't have to put it in the documents, right? If you do that, it now kind of turns it into a commercial transaction. How we've done commercial transactions this whole time. I've negotiated with my client. I know what's going on. I get phone calls all day about that property. You can tell the agent over the phone, yeah, we're paying 3%. You just cannot advertise it anywhere, anyhow in the MLS. Okay.
So let's say I have a client that wants to see this house, and we want to.
No, we're not. No, we're not doing buyers right now. I'm just doing listings.
Okay.
Sorry, not to cut you off. I'm gonna come back to buyers, because that changes drastically too. I'm just sorry. I didn't mean to be rude or interrupt, but it's just like I don't want to confuse the two right now.
Yes.
But hold that thought. So now let's say Bianca calls me and she goes, Colin, I see you're listing this house. Are you paying commission on it? Yeah, we're paying 3%. Cool. Y'all know the words. Is there ever you can take somebody's word for that? Does that sound like a good idea? No. This is a very legal place. Nobody just goes, he told me. Shut up. I get people calling me all the time. He told me this. I don't care what he told you. What's in writing? Okay? I don't care if he said he was going to do this. What's in writing? All right?
But
So
put it in the contract, no?
you need to, oh no, not in the contract. There's another form. Yay, forms. Okay. It's so guys, I've got 19 forms spread out all over this table. It's so stupid. This one, what is this one called? This one is called the compensation agreement between brokers. You'll see that?
Yes.
So once he tells you, yes, we're offering 3%, cool. Here's my contract. Here's my pre-approval. Here's my third-party financing addendum. And here's the compensation agreement that you said you would agree to pay me 3%. Now it's in writing.
So do we should send one of those first, have it signed, and then submit the offer with?
I mean, if I don't like sending things twice, I wouldn't, but I would just do it all at one fell swoop. But if you want to send it first, okay, bullshit, prove it. I'm not even filling out the contract. Great, do it. You know what I mean? I just don't like doing things twice. But
this
yes,
is only if they're not doing like the seller concession 3%.
Bingo.
Right?
Bifurcate those two. If we do it where they put it in the seller's concession, you need the disclosure to advertise certain information. If you're doing it old school, you have to have the broker's agreement.
Okay.
Everybody tracking with me there?
Mm.
And we are just talking about listings.
And all these forms are going to be in jointly at the time of.
They better be in there now. I haven't honestly checked, but they better be in there now. Okay. So those, and then by the way, guys, there's also an addendum to the, good God, this stupid thing. There's also the addendum to broker fee thing, right? Almost every form I'm showing you has an addendum, right? Because we're probably going to, you know what I mean? If something changes, we got to be able to do it, right? So that is on listings. Hold on. I'm going to get to that in a minute. This one.
When it says commissions and they're calling, like, or not commissions, the seller, whatever, the seller contribution, whatever that is, you know how when they had the percentage that they were going to pay the BAC, is that still binding, whatever we put in the MLS? Or
yes,
is that
it
all
is still binding.
negotiable? So
it is
no
still
matter
binding.
what.
Yeah, the old ones are still binding. Basically, this paper that I told you to fill out, the 27 whatever, the one I said you have to do for every listing, the amendment to representation agreement. This one right here, everybody needs to do for every active listing that you have. This is the amendment to change the listing agreement you have in place to make it legal today. You don't have to change anything else. Everything else is still going to be binding. They say this basically says we understand the rules changed. We're still doing it the old way.
I meant the 3% seller concessions.
Yeah,
that's in there. Like, do we have, like, if we negotiate, so it says 3% in the MLS, can we negotiate 1% after we get into negotiations, or
yes, it is. 3%? That is, the 3% is not binding. It's just advertising. Okay, gotcha. I will pay 3%. Maybe you'll pay 5%. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. No, because like the 3% in MLS was binding. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So sometimes, depending the purchase price, and sometimes the concessions are limited to a percentage in general. If we are in the 3% of the commission for the other agent, plus whatever they asking on help, that number is just keeping adding up. So
hold on, Bianca, hold on real quick, because sitting right next to you is the lovely Priscilla. Priscilla, correct me if I'm wrong, that it is not the amount of seller's concessions, but it's what it can pay for, correct?
It is the amount. So for VA, it's 4% max, and with FHA, it's 6% max. But they are changing it to where it's going to be two separate. So that's what I was going to ask too, is like on the contract, Because as a lender, right, we're looking at the contract and we're seeing they're giving them 10,000 seller concessions, right? And that's what we plug in. So is that going to be separate? Like, say they do offer the seller concessions towards our fee, is that separate on the contract?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's going to be just the seller's concession because so far they have not changed the 1 to 4.
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
what I think. I mean, obviously we haven't gone through a transaction like that yet, but that's
I
what
know,
I wanna
and
bring
Priscilla,
up.
that honestly, hold on a second, because that's a good question. I don't know the answer to it. Hold on, I'm gonna figure that one out. That's a good question. I was hoping you knew the answer to it. I was hoping they made you go do a whole bunch of stupid fee or something to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're like on this side, we're not talking about it as much as the realtor side is. Yeah.
Y'all are
they're
about
not-
to be, unless FHA and VA loosens up that strict. You know what I mean? And they may say something like, something tells me it's going to be like 4% towards closing cost and 3% towards realtor fees, or a total of 7%. I'm sure they're going to change and modify.
And
that
also
somehow.
like how the appraisal is gonna work, because like if we're, you know what I mean, depending on what market we're in, all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Girl, I'm just trying to make sure that none of y'all get in trouble right now.
Because
and
if you put
too,
it this
personally.
way, if you put it in numbers pace, like if you have a $600,000 house and you're paying the 3%, that's 18. And if these buyers are asking for 20 or 25 in concessions, because I've been seeing it, they're asking that much. We're talking about over 40 grand off the
No,
loan.
I hear
The
you, but
lender
it's
is gonna be
off
like,
the
okay.
loan. But it's off the loan, and like again, I don't want to go down the lender rabbit hole because I really don't know. I don't have that license. I have no clue. I'll find that out. Give me a minute, and we'll see if I can figure out the answer to that one. Okay, so just to recap, so far, 2 main things. Everybody must fill out this amendment to listing with any listings that you have. And now that now we have to change the way we pay commissions if we are the listing agent. We can either add it in the concessions. So Bianca, as of right now, if you are just like, I don't like it, do it the old school way and just do the broker agreement, right? There's 2 ways to do it now. There's 2 ways around this stupid hill. So if you don't like doing it with the concessions because you're scared, I'm with you now. I was thinking, man, I'd probably do it that way to keep it easy. But now since that question's been raised, I'm like, well, shit, maybe I will just answer my phone more. You know what I mean? And just fill out the other paper because you're filling out a piece of paper either way, right? Now, one of them, you just got to answer the phone more. So, which is fine, but I get where you're going with that. And let's see what happens. Let me see if I can get the answer that does settle. Okay. The next, Alicia, I love you so much. I don't know if she's driving or something, but she looks like when I'm FaceTiming my grandma.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, hey, Dad. It's like, you just see her face pop up all of a sudden.
She's not reaching it to the.
Yeah, it's just funny. I'm sorry, Alicia. I don't mean to make fun of you. Okay, so that's the listing side, right? So everything on the listing side we just discussed, and I did it right in 30 minutes. Let's talk about everything on the buyer's side.
Yeah, okay. A quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
So, and it kind of goes back into the agent remarks because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of gray areas as to what you put in there, right? I'm sure we'll see all kinds of crazy stuff the next couple months. You think can you not say, like, just come up with a saying as to, like, let's say you put seller very open to working with buyer's agents.
Seller is a buying agent.
How does that sound?
I think he froze.
That sounds like,
I mean, in my opinion, I'd say yes, but I'm not a lawyer and I'm not the thing with this. Okay. Yeah. In my opinion, I would say yes, that's fine because we do it all the time, right? Motivated seller, blah, blah, blah. Right. We make those little comments like, give us a low ball offer. I don't give a shit. Right. We say that a lot. But this is dangerous, right? So guys, there's one more thing I want to make abundantly clear. They are going to be watching every realtor like a hawk. Every ambulance chasing POS, greedy little realtor. The same thing happened when the ADA compliance I don't know if y'all know this, when the ADA compliance came out that websites have to be blind friendly. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They did that. And then there was a law firm that just went around to every single real estate company's website and found every single person that wasn't compliant and just sued them. Okay. Dude, there's so many brokerages that got popped. I mean, like 3 days afterwards, lawsuit. I mean, they were drafting them for weeks. Okay. My point to you is I wouldn't flirt with it right now. Okay. I really would not flirt with anything because there's a bunch of hungry lawyers. Guys, the economy's slowing way down. Okay. People can't, like, they'll just come after you. Why not? Right. Come after you. Let's see how much insurance money they've got. I don't even know if insurance will care for this stuff. I'm sure it will because it's E&O, but guys, I don't do that. Okay. I wouldn't flirt with it. Good question. I'd like to do it personally, but I won't. I'm going to be very Johnny by the book this for a while. Just until I kind of see how the market shakes out from it. That's my opinion. Okay. Let's move over to the buying side. Okay. Most of you younger guys, buyers agents, all that kind of stuff, right? When it comes out to the buyer's agents, if you're representing a buyer, I've always been a big stickler on just give them an IBS, have them sign an IBS, have them sign an IBS. I don't care what you do after that, have them sign an IBS, right? I said, once you get ready to go, it's like you need to have a buyer's representation agreement, right? I know for a fact a lot of people will get a phone call from their client. They go, hey, can I go see this house? Yeah, I'll meet you there in 20 minutes, right? And you just let them in and whatever. You have no buyer's rep. You have nothing. Guys, we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it.
Never see that person before. Yes.
Don't do that again. Now, when it comes to buyer representation, there has always been a buyer's representation agreement. And if you actually read it and paid attention in class, it says you, Mr. Buyer, will pay me 3% if they don't pay me 3%. Okay. We got rid of the if they don't. Okay. Basically, the buyer's rep agreement looks almost exactly the same, except a few little changes, which again is in a big black rectangle box. So if you don't see this on the buyer's rep agreement, then you don't have the right one. Yeah, I'm muting you. Because you don't have the right one, guys. If you do not have the one with the box on page 2, you have the wrong buyer's rep agreement. It's very self-explanatory if you read it. It is very self-explanatory. If you have questions, read it, let me know. But I need to point out that now we have a new buyer's rep agreement. Woo! The old one is like 5-6 pages long, right? This new one is a 1-page. They call this the Residential Buyer's Tenant Representation Agreement short form. The short form. I only want y'all using the short form for one instance. That's if somebody calls you, says, hey, I want to go see this house. You haven't really established a whole client relationship. They're not hell-bent on buying. You know what I'm talking about, that kind of one-off deal, okay? If it is a one-off deal, then you use this form. The minute you go to show them a second house, get them this form. Fill out the whole damn thing. This form right here actually has, it's a buyer's rep agreement. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's just really short. But it also says in here that we have, oh, come on, you stupid thing, a showing service. Ladies and gentlemen, they do not want you working for free now. There must be valuable consideration. I know you've heard that term a lot in real estate. So on here it says, full service, broker will use broker's best effort to assist client in the acquisition of new property, or am I your agent to help you find this house? Is that what we're doing? Or am I just opening doors for you? If you just want me to open doors, there's a checkbox for that. And it reads, showing services, paragraph 6, 7, and 8 do not apply. Broker will provide client with access to properties in the market area. Client will pay broker a fee of blank due upon execution of this agreement. You're going to pay me, fill in the blank. Hey, sorry. You're going to pay me $50 to open doors for you. You're going to pay me $100. You're going to pay me $1. whatever it may be. Guys, this form, in my opinion, is insanely dangerous.
Right.
This is a very, very dangerous form. They did it so we could all do those little one-offs that we all know we do. Okay? Me personally, if somebody wants to see a house and it's kind of a one-off and it's a buddy of mine that just wants to see it because he's thinking about selling his house and you know that, whatever, I'm going to say, I'll show it to you. You owe me $1. Because if you say, I'm going to show you 6 houses for $200, don't, guys, I just feel like it's dangerous. I'd rather have the full representation agreement that says I will get paid when you pick a house. I don't want to start getting ticky-tacky charging people to open doors. I think it's a dangerous practice. I'm not real sure yet. I haven't done it. Okay. But
Colin,
hello,
sorry,
who's yelling at me?
I have a quick. It's me, Susie.
Oh,
I
hi,
have a
Susie.
quick question. So, let's just say, for example, there's the wholesale teams, right? Do they need that if they're going out and showing investors? I want to get that clarified because we have teams with agents. So do they need that for every single transaction?
You know what? The question, I think the answer is going to be, I think, guys, this is not confirmed. I think, God, I feel like I have to do all this caveat stuff. That it depends on whether or not they're representing the investor.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because if you are representing yourself, and let's say I own the house and I'm just letting investors in, but I'm representing myself, I can't imagine I'm supposed to charge them. But let me call about that. That's a good question too.
I don't see why we're not representing anybody.
Yeah, but I did contact Sabor about a couple of things, and they did specify that there is a form that agents have to sign even though they're doing wholesale deals. But she wasn't too sure, and she was going to ask. I just never heard back from her. So,
Susie, great question.
Sure that
that's a really good question. Let me get to the bottom of that one too. I don't pretend to have all the answers right now, guys. I just really don't. I happen to have been going through this for a while, so I just wanted to share with everybody. Okay.
So
if yeah,
I just have a real quick one. So we're touching cash now? Okay.
Good question.
I wouldn't recommend accepting cash.
I would not. I would not touch cash unless you're willing to provide a receipt, right?
Oh boy.
Right.
Unless you're willing to provide a receipt for cash, I would not do it.
I do showings all the time. It's like,
dude, just have them and the other thing is the reason why I'm putting $1 is because I don't care if they pay me or not. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, but it's up to you. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. You've got to protect your time. Okay, we all know those people that just want to be let into 57 houses. You know, it's like I either sign the representation agreement or leave me alone, right? So those are good questions. That's my first thought is unless you're willing to provide a receipt for cash, because all you got to think, guys, you got to think like a lawyer. It's all about CYA. You got to cover your ass, right? And he could say, I gave you $300 and you never gave me my change. Here we go.
So I just want to make a quick comment.
One phone call to Trek. They protect the public, not realtors. You're out. $300.
So like one thing I want to mention, when I was at like one of the bigger brokerages in town, they wouldn't even let us show a house unless we had a representation agreement in place. And I feel that's just the best practice. Like if someone is going to be, worth your time, have one of those filled out. And even if you just put in the address of a house that you're showing them, you can do that. You can be very specific on what you're representing them for. But where I was before, they were like, nope, don't even open the door.
That's what that's what Matt's saying. That's what this is for. And he's right. It is a best practice. Okay. It is a best practice to have this signed all the time. Guys, make sure that this one is signed before you show anybody a house. That's what this is for, was what Matt just said. One house, they just want to see it. They met you at the grocery store. Okay, that's what this is for. I asked the lawyer on the tar line. I'm like, why would you do that? I was like, why would y'all even provide this? I said, this one feels dangerous to me. She goes, it is dangerous. She goes, we just did it because some people, like when you go see a client, they're not going to want to read a 7-page document. You know, it's kind of just that real quick little. They understand the public's going to be like irritated if you have to sign all these forms just to look at a house. So try to get to the long one as soon as you can. All right.
And the long ones, we don't have to charge per door or
Keep a
charge.
stack in your car.
Yeah, I did want to say that. Susie's right. I'd put a stack of these in my car.
Yeah, I already
I
heard
put a
it.
stack of these in my car. It is form
That and the,
TXR 1507.
yeah, that in the IBS form.
I need you to sign both of these before I can walk you in the house. Why is that? Because lawyers got paid. You're welcome to read it. Guys, remember also, by the way, as we go through this, you are not a lawyer. You cannot interpret this document for them, right? You can help explain things, but you can't tell them if it's a good idea or a bad idea. You can't tell them, like, you got to be careful, right? Hey, this is the form that I need to have you fill out in order to show the house. You can, right? If you have any specific question, really, what's it about? It says that I have to do this. I mean, you can read it to them, you can do the best of it, but you're not a lawyer, so be careful, right? If they start getting skittish on it, just say, okay, not a problem. Let your lawyer read it and get back to me. How often does that happen? Slim to none, but just, you're not a lawyer. Remember that. Yes, I'm sorry, who said that? I don't know.
It's me, Mary. I have a question real quick. So what if a realtor contacts me and they are tied up, they're in a bind, and they have a client that is wanting to look at a property? They reach out to me and they're like, can you show, and it's, mind you, it's my listing. So they're like, hey, my client wants to see your house, but I'm in a bind, I'm stuck in traffic or whatnot, because they're coming from Houston. Is there any way that you can swing by there and show my client the property? Like, what do we need to fill out then?
Real quick, are you allowed to have contact with somebody else's client?
No.
Then you don't show it to them. Period. The end. That goes back to one of the original rules.
Okay.
You are not allowed to talk to the buyer's client. If the buyer is represented, that's a huge conflict of interest for you to speak to them when they're not around. So no, you may not.
Okay.
But good question. I see where you're going with that, right? I'm going to help a friend out. I'm going to do something like that. It's like even internally, right? Even internally, I think we're good. Matt, if you're going to go show a property for me because I was out of town and I'm going to pay you $50 to do it for me, you know what I mean? Internally, that's fine because I have a representation agreement and we're all an agency together. That should be fine if I'm not mistaken. However, you should not be talking to any other agencies, brokers, anybody else's clients. If they are represented, they need to speak to their people. Bianca, are you leaving? Oh, you can't hear me? Can y'all hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Bianca,
Yes.
you're muted. Hold on, Bianca's trying to tell me something.
Yeah, she's muted.
Okay, well, she's muted. You're muted. Okay. So, guys, I can't hear you. Somebody
Put it in the chat.
well, I got my now I'm just killing the vibe for everybody.
I think you muted her, so you have to unmute her.
Oh, I have to do it?
Yes, because you muted her.
Well, then I'll just leave her muted. No, I'm kidding, Bianca. I'm kidding. Did that work?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, do y'all see the power that I wield? Don't be making me mad. I'll shoot. Sorry, no, what's up? Just kidding.
Okay.
What's up, Bianca?
So this happened to me the other day. Somebody sold the sign, sold the phone number, called me. It's a potential buyer. They're saying they're not represented. And a lot of people is doing this. They come and tell you they don't have any realtor. So they want me to go and open the house for them because I'm the listing agent and they don't have another agent. So if that happens, and then you go and show the house to a potential buyer and you're the listing agent, how you handle that?
One of two things. We do intermediary here at White Line Realty, but we do it with assignments, right? You're not going to work both sides of a transaction. We got to get another White Line agent involved. Okay, first and foremost.
Right.
So that's fine. You have to disclose to these people who you work for. So form number 632. One moment, please. Aha! Representation disclosure. Okay, that's another new form. Okay, I'm not going to go through, guys. I'm telling you, there are forms literally everywhere. Okay, there is a representation disclosure, guys. You have to disclose who you represent. So if they want to come over and you're working an open house, you have to say, guys, I work for the seller. Okay. So there is a representation disclosure that you would have to fill out in order to do that. And then as soon as they say, I love the house, I want to buy it. And by the way, you should keep your mouth shut when you're showing that house. Don't talk about any money, anything. I would actually just call somebody else and go, hey man, like if it was me, Bianca, I'd call you. Bianca, I got somebody who wants to go see it. What, Susie?
Were you stating that they were pretty much quote unquote lying that they weren't being represented? Is that what you were stating, or were you reading the intermediary?
But Susie's in Cheto, which if y'all don't know, go to Mexico and get halfway there and take a left. That's where she's headed right now. So she's not real good service. Carrizo Springs.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're breaking up, Susie, but I got what you were saying. She was asking you, Bianca, are you suggesting that the client is lying to you and is represented?
Well, you never
Or are you
know.
suggesting
I'm finding out, like the other day, somebody called me and said, hey, I saw this house, your phone number is in the yard and the sign, yada, yada. Can we see this house? And I always ask, do you have an agent? Do you have somebody representing?
Good. Very good practice.
And he's not, no, we don't have anybody. We just want to look at it. We're not ready yet. Yeah. You know, they come with that. We say, okay, yeah, I can go on.
So my wife works at a big office, very, very, very large company. Some of y'all know that. Okay. My wife has to do this horrible thing that would drive me absolutely insane if I had to do it all the time. But I kind of do the same thing, and I need to be better about it like her. If you ever have a verbal conversation with somebody, send them a follow-up repeating what they said. If they make no change to that, my understanding is that is an admission that they understand the conversation. So what I would do in that situation, just to make sure I'm covering my ass, is what you do in a weird office place. Hey, we want to see your house. We're not represented. Can we be there at 2:00? Sure, I'll see you there. Hang up the phone. Shoot them a text message right back. Hey, just wanted to make sure I understood everything. You're not represented and you're meeting at the house at 2:00. Is that correct? And as soon as they say yes, now you're covered and it's in writing. Guys, by the way, never delete a text message. Just pay for the Apple storage or whatever phone you're on. Pay for the storage. Okay, it's 99 cents a month. Trust me on this. That's what I do. If I get I used to do it whenever I just kind of felt weird about something. I was probably a little too cavalier, if that makes sense. I need to get in the habit of doing it every single solitary time. And so does everybody here. Okay. If a client if you have a phone call with a client, they're talking and they're bitching at you about whatever, get on there and send them an email back. Hey, thanks so much for the call today. Just to recap, this is the stuff that you said. This is what I'm going to be doing. Send. If they never reply to you, you now have a paper trail of that conversation, because you never want to get into a he said, she said thing. You're going to lose every time. Okay. Just understand. Yeah, it is. I honestly believe it is. I believe that every piece of crap realtor in the world every piece of crap lawyer in the world is going to be hunting us down, making sure that we use the new forms, making sure that we don't do something silly in the MLS trying to get away with it, making sure that you know what I'm saying? It's just like, they're going to be looking. So don't do anything stupid. Also, real quick, before we move on, because we're right at the hour mark, I want to point out that the general information to buyers and sellers, which should be accompanying every single contract that you do, is also changed. That one's new. That just needs to come out with a contract. There is also, I think that's it. There was one other form I wanted to, but most of these are just amendments to things. Referral agreement between the brokers. We talked about it. Guys, I'm going to say this one more time before everybody leaves, or before I show you the next thing. is you have to have the amendment to the representation agreement. If you have a listing, every single listing, that starts now. And you have until the end of the weekend. You have till the 17th. Hurry up. Next, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's do this. Sorry, guys. Now, for those of y'all that are in Sabor, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so those of y'all that are in Sabor, I'm going to show y'all something that I learned during my research. If you go into the MLS, this is Sabor. Again, I don't know if Abor is doing it. I don't know any of that. But I have really never ever clicked on this little button before. But when I was talking to all these people doing my research, they taught me about it. So state and association forms. Okay, when we get in here, I already did this, but we're gonna hold on, I gotta move this. So I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna say I need a new folder. If you've never done this before, don't feel bad. We're gonna name this folder 1, 2, 3, 4, just because why not? And we're gonna continue. When you do that, it's going to give you this library of all the possible forms that you could need that are the Texas Association of Realtor forms, or the Texas Real Estate Commission forms, or Sabor, or this, or whatever. We're going to leave it on tar, and we're going to say last posted. Nope, wrong way. Click it twice, I guess. There we go. Everything here that ends in 2024 are all the forms that you need that are updated. That is 19 forms. That is where you can find those forms. That is the fastest and easiest way I have found to find these forms. Can you find them in zip forms? Yes, sure. Most of y'all don't pay for it because we use Jointly. Jointly should have those forms uploaded. I'm going to double check that. Or Susie, if you're still listening, if you could get in there and look, because I don't know when I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I'll check it.
Let me know if these 19 forms, if not, hit them up and go, hey, dude, we need these in there by the 17th. I'm sure they already are in there. So that's where you can find your 19 forms if you are in Sabor. Otherwise, guys, you got to go to the TAR website. They have them there. But essentially, guys, here's what I need you to remember. Here's what we got to walk out the door and do today. Okay. What we have to do today is any listing that we have to send a listing amendment. Rules have changed. We got to get a new listing. Second thing is starting on the 17th, we have got to change the way that if we're representing as a seller, we have to decide how we're going to do the commissions. And if we do, make sure we fill out the right paperwork. If we're representing buyers, you have to get a buyer's rep agreement before you show anybody a house. IBS buyer's rep, period. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. Now, that's me breaking it down to the ridiculous. So don't panic. A lot of people are panicking. All we're doing is adding an extra step in there. The important thing to remember is you cannot advertise commission in the MLS. Period. The end. It cannot be 1 click away from the MLS. It must be 2 clicks away. Okay? Every single property. You cannot list the commissions. You're going to be making a lot more phone calls, man. I think it's going to be a lot of text messages going down. But all those memes, which I find personally funny as hell, mowing the yard, capitalizing certain words in your thing, all that crap. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. For those of y'all that have kids, how many times have you watched your 8-year-old do something stupid as shit thinking they were going to get away with it? You're just looking at them going, really? No. That's I guarantee you some lawyer's gonna look at you and go, really? You didn't think we were gonna check that? Whoopsie. If you're smart enough to think of it, they're smart enough to figure it out. So to just do it by the book. All right, any last questions? Guys, I am gonna be shooting videos going through these forms one at a time. We have also got some massive changes that are going to be coming through. I'm really excited about some of the new stuff we're going to be doing. So I'm pumped about that. And if y'all don't have any questions, I'm going to go eat some lunch.
Yeah, I got a quick one.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that we can advertise, what we charge commission, right? Obviously not on the MLS. And it has to be on the website, 2 clicks away.
It's not what you charge, it's what you're willing to pay. You cannot advertise a paid commission. I guess you could say I charge 3% to sell future houses. I guess you could do that. I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's how I understood it. But okay, so you're talking
But
about.
yeah, it's not what you charge, it's what's willing to be paid. You cannot tell anybody in the MLS how much you will pay them if they bring you a buyer.
Okay.
Hey, Colin. What
Yeah.
about showing service?
What about it?
You know how you can put instructions and things like that? Can you advertise it there?
Fair question.
No, you cannot.
I'm going to say no.
Heard no.
I'm going to say no because
No,
it's
you
probably
cannot.
one. Okay. All right. Susie, do you know that for a fact? I didn't know that for a fact.
I know that
so.
yes, I do know that for a fact.
All right. Love you, Susie.
Love you,
You're welcome.
Susie.
Yeah, I did not know that for a fact. God, y'all are devious. I love it. Like, right? Doesn't it feel like we're like Gru and Despicable Me? We're like, how can we steal the moon? Quit trying to steal the moon. Just fill out it's one more damn page. It's stupid. We all agree it's stupid. Quit trying to cut corners. Just fill out the paperwork. You know what I mean? Just stay out of trouble, please. Like, we cannot, like, I love you. We are 100 people strong. We cannot deal with 67 lawsuits. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Okay. just don't get cute with it. Just don't. Any other questions?
No.
So just to let you know, guys, what is coming around the bend here, hopefully starting in Q3, maybe sooner, maybe the beginning of September. But guys, my plan is to turn this into more of a boiler room. I'm going to be getting all of you guys an opportunity to come up here. What I realized is that since White Line's been open for 6 years. Okay. 6 years, 2018. And in those 6 years, every single year, I've been in the top 3 of selling agents out there. And I'm also running a brokerage and all my million other things that I do with all the investing stuff. What I think is funny is I'm not focused on selling all that many houses. I just have a system in place that enables me to create leads and keep these things going. What I want to do with all of you, as many people as want to participate, and as you know, we're real big on autonomy here at White Line. Do what you got to do. Just make sure you're legal and moral. That's our thing. Legal and moral. Do what you got to do. We don't ask you to come up here, but if you want to come up here, I'm going to start showing people how we work through probate leads, how we work through these, what it looks like to wholesale a deal, what it looks like to wholetail a deal, what it looks like to sell a renter. I've got 350 buyers right now hounding me to find them properties. And I obviously cannot find 350 properties a month. Okay. But 93 agents could probably get pretty damn close. And we're going to be working that together, guys. I really want to focus the rest of this year and into next year on focusing on getting every White Line agent as much production as humanly possible. So there's big things coming. Stick around. Don't ignore my emails, which I see everybody here didn't. Thank you. I know y'all are the good ones. Don't preach to the choir. But appreciate y'all making it on short notice. We're going to be talking more about these forms. I love you. Read your emails from me.
Thank you.
Hey,
Bye,
one
guys.
more thing, just to let y'all know, I just got word that yes, Jointly is updated with all the proper forms. Any deals, any files that were created after June 24th, all the new updated forms are there, as well as the buyer rep agreement. So the short form. So just to let you know.
Slow to use the short form, guys. Slow to use the short form. Only if you got somebody that doesn't want to read all the pages. All right. All right.
Okay.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.